we've had issues here with medication, and with Bob Baffert's in some trouble, and depends which side of the fence you're on. I noticed some trainers are helping run some horses for him, and he's sitting on the sidelines trying to explain his problems, which he might be right, he might be wrong. I'm not here to judge him. I don't want to take that position at all. I'm here to say that I've been to so many meetings for the last 15, 20 years where everyone said we need some uniform standards within the industry, because you coming from California need to know what the rules are in New York or in New Jersey or Minnesota or wherever you go. And they're not, and people don't realize they're not the same rules wherever you go. So you could get away with trying to get your best performance. And I kind of want to slant it this way. As a veterinarian who's been on the track, people paid me to try and get the best performance for their horse, or to try and take care of them in the best way. I've been fortunate because more with my clinical background and surgery, I was the guy that fixed them when they got broke up. I wasn't the guy trying to make sure, that they got the best every day. But on the other hand, I know a lot of my colleagues, they were there 24/7, working hard, just trying to make sure the horses did their best performance like any pro athlete. And you trainers are in the same position. So I think our main goal, and I read a couple articles about you and your brother, and one of your owners made a statement that he thought this was very. We had to be careful. It was not good for the sport of horse racing. Now, Baffert since then has raced several horses under different trainers' names. I won't go through all of them, but they haven't fired quite the same way. Do you have any overall perspective that you just want to throw here that might enlighten me or anyone listening about what we're going to have to wade through for the next few weeks, months, years on this kind of stuff? Because now the government is getting involved. In 22, the federal government will be overseeing all the medication rules and uniform standards of what you do wrong. And I just want to also, for the record, say that, you've had a couple of spills. I luckily only had one in my entire career of no great significance. But when you got in trouble, I remember reading, and I was very impressed. You said, listen, I made a mistake. Let's move forward and do what I got to do, rather than, no, it didn't happen. No, that kind of thing. Do you have any words just that might help the public put this in perspective? Because most of us love the horses that we work with and for. We don't want to see anything bad to happen to them.
100%. To me, I've always thought, how can we put a man on the moon and we can't do some type of pre-race testing? To me, when the horses hit the paddock, if you're an owner, a jockey, a groom, a trainer, a veterinarian, a fan, a gambler, you should feel very confident that every horse has been tested and they're all cleared to run. So that extremely frustrates me. And I think with the recent Baffert case, could have been nipped before it even became an issue. If they, they do all kinds of out of competition testing, looking for anabolic steroids and bronchodilators like clenbuterol and stuff, and EPO. But you could also do pre-race testing, a couple of days out or a day out, and if you see anything that the science says isn't going to be in that window of normalcy, because the medication that that they're alleging,
betamethasone, it was a steroid.
Betamethasone, yep, is it's illegal, as you know, it's a legal therapeutic medication, but the theory is he just must have got too close, or whether it was the ointment or whatever. But to me, that could have been nipped a day or two out.
You're 100% right. I agree with you on that, in the sense that if we can put up $1 million purse, we can certainly on these big races put up some sort of pre-race testing on something like that. I mean, and if we can get a quick swab COVID test to get on a plane, you could certainly do something like this with that. And unfortunately, they had this conference years ago. I attended it at Monmouth Park. All the great racetracks of the world were there, and the head of the legal counsel to the Major League Baseball was there, and he said, "You guys, if you don't," he was so right. He said, "If you don't get your act together on your own terms," he said, "the government's going to come in and do it for you." He was right, wasn't he?
Yeah, and we've all been in our local DMVs, and and I have a lot of respect for all the employees of DMVs, but those sometimes aren't the most super well run operations. So it is a little concerning to have the government involved. But I do think, like you led off with this, that it's so important that horsemen know when they go from state to state of what the rules are, and when they fluctuate so much state to state, our whole business is asking for trouble. So I think uniformity is going to be a big plus, and hopefully they can figure out a way to do. I know we've run horses in Saudi and in Dubai, and I know in Saudi they pre-race test. They take everybody to the receiving barn. It's only about 20 minutes, 30 minutes before you normally would have to go, and they pull blood on everybody, and they don't tell you what they're testing for, but it's whatever they are. If you aren't clean, you're not running. And so I mean, and they do a TCO2 test as well. So it's just a really clean. I mean, it's hard to believe. Well, it's not that hard to believe, but that's a little bit hard to believe that Saudi racing would be ahead of North American racing. It doesn't. It's a little bit shocking, but it's something I've talked to the equine medical director, who's now leaving, Rick Arthur, years ago, why we wouldn't do it. And he made it. I don't know. He had kind of a weird reply saying that there was certain things you couldn't test. You had to wait till after the race to test. And I don't know. I just don't. I don't buy that. But again, I barely made it through high school, so who knows? But I know it could be a lot more fair playing field, because the one thing too you have is certain trainers, and Bob Baffert has had the luxury of this, of training for some of the policemen of the sport, the California Horse Racing Board. He's trained for some of those board members throughout the years.
Right.
So, without pre-race testing, no one knows how fair the playing field has been over the years. So the California Horse Racing Board has been cleaned up a lot over the last year or so. So you got, no owners that have horses with trainers in California. That's a real plus. And, it does feel like we're heading the right way, and good things are coming.
Well, you've been very eloquent in your explanation, and I agree with almost everything you said. And I know the players, and I know the game, and I'm going to sum it up to one word that explains everything you said. It's called politics.
Amen.
And this is why now the bigger, badder politicians are going to be in charge of deciding the rules. And I see all the people being assigned to committees and all this, and I know them. And so we're going to see where this rodeo goes. But having said that, I don't want to end on a bad note. I had one other question that I won't get to all of them, but the one question that I want to get to is, because I think you did a wonderful thing with Lava Man. And I wanted to hear you say a couple things about him, because people don't realize he is probably the most valuable pony in the thoroughbred industry.
It's really being part of Lava Man, a small part, has just been a real absolute blessing. And got to thank the Kenley family and the Wood family who own him. They still own him and campaign him, and they did so well with him. And now, he's been we call him the coach. He's been our coach for quite a few years. We're probably going on about 10 years now, 10, 12 years of him, about 10 years of him being our head pony at the barn. And he chaperoned I'll Have Another to the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness. And now here he is with Hot Rod Charlie on this journey. And he's definitely a mentor for these young horses. He's a tough-minded, strong individual, and young horses sometimes need to learn the ropes, and there's no better place to learn the ropes than from a former top racehorse.
Well, for people in my viewership who might not understand everything about racing, this Lava Man is in the Hall of Fame. He's won over $5 million. He raced and was successfully competing in just about every surface and every race in California. For some strange reason, you had trouble getting him to win any big races outside of California, but that doesn't matter. He really is one of the most remarkable horses out there, and he's a gelding, so he has no breeding future. Did he come to you already gelded, or was that some strategy?
Yeah, he was gelded prior to us getting him, but yeah, he hated travel. That's the irony is he's been a great travel coach for us, but he absolutely, when he was competing, could not stand any place other than his own stall. And it's funny how most good horses, when they're traveling, you got to be able to go hotel to hotel or stall to stall, and it not affect your sleep or your eating, and it always seemed to with him. But now that he's older and you know, he doesn't have to put in the amount of exercise that he used to put in, he's calmed down a lot mentally, and he's become a way better traveler. And he's in New Jersey as we speak with Hot Rod Charlie, getting ready for the Haskell.
Well, let me start winding this down by asking you, are you really super excited? Are you nervous? Are you all of the above? I mean, you're, you know, I'm sort of superstitious like everyone else in the industry. I don't want to jinx you in any way, but you've done enough good things in your career that you're starting to knock on the door of some of those Hall of Fame trainers that I'm sure that you respect and you look up to, and said probably in your younger days, boy, if I could only be like half of what this person is, I'd be happy. And now you're approaching them. So, you know, winning a race like the Haskell could put you in line to go to bigger and better without going into all the details in this interview, and could really set you even higher. How's that going in? When people, it's going to be on NBC, by the way, and I'm going to put that up on for the people to see. But when you're walking down that road, getting ready for the race, what are you going to be thinking about?
Yeah, the one key word we like around the barn a lot, Doc, is we're optimistic, and I think I'll stick with that word. You know, we're extremely optimistic about the Haskell, and you know, again, horses, as you know, communicate to us with their appetite, their alertness, their energy out on the track. And Hot Rod Charlie, as we speak, is he's checking all the right boxes, and he's put in a couple sensational workouts at Santa Anita before he jumped on a plane to go to New Jersey. So you know, it's one day at a time, but as we speak, he's doing really well, and we're very optimistic.
Well, listen, I'm going to end this by telling you and thanking you for being so gracious with your time.
Of course.
And I end all of my interviews, especially in the racing world, with wishing everyone, the horses, the jockeys, a safe trip. And we only want the best for all of them. I think everyone recognizes that. And, you know, I'm sure that you will pick up a couple of supporters and fans just from hearing your story. And there's more to it. I've got more to go, but I know your time is limited, and you got to get your rest and get back to all the other wonderful headaches of being a trainer and being in charge of this big operation. So hopefully we get an opportunity after the race at some point to talk some more about some stuff. But thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your expertise.
Thanks for having me, Doc. Thank you.